Hello, Anne. How are you? Today I thought I'd talk about telling the time. This next month's bundle in the actually this month's bundle now we're in March in the Clara James Approach is going to be on telling the time. So I thought that'd be a kind of good way to consolidate things is to have a chatter here as well. There's a lad I work with. He's a fantastic lad, but because of his dyslexia, he does struggle to tell the time. And you can't see you chat with him about it and how it's beneficial if you can tell the time. And he goes, "Well, it's not." And he says, "Well, I just look at my phone." Says, "Yeah, but what happens if your phone's got a fat battery?" I'll ask Alexa. You go, "Yeah, but what happens if you're stood in the middle of a field?" Well, then it's probably daylight and I don't need to. But he had an answer for everything anyway. And it's true, as technology is evolving, it's probably becoming less and less necessary to be able to read an analog watch or clock. And I was speaking to another child about it, and she was kind of saying the fact that there's kind of like digital clocks in school halls and things now as well for exams. So again, it's not necessary to be able to read specifically the time as long as you know what time you start. They will tell you when you finish, they will tell you when to start. But if you want to know how long you've got, you can have a gauge from being able to see the digital clock. So, but it is still potentially a skill that a lot of parents want their children to have. And yes, I still think it probably is necessary to a degree, just in case for whatever reason, um, that is your only means of telling what the time is. So when you're working with your child, one of the first things I would do is suggest that you go right back to basics and have a think about the fact of look at things like the times of the year and then have a look at the different months of the year, have a look at the days of the week and kind of like look at the big picture and then slowly start to bring it in. You might want to make collages and images of different things that happen throughout the year. You might make a timeline of the year and put on at different events like birthdays and Christmas and Easter and all the other celebrations that happen around, that happen which might be relevant to your family. And focus in on kind of like the big picture of time. And then once you've accomplished that, then start to, so I've got my list here, that's what I'm looking at to remind me, that's why I keep gazing off over here. But then start to break it down. And then what I would do then is create a timeline of the day so that 7 o'clock is when you get up, maybe you may be up before then, you may be up after then. At 20 past 7, you have breakfast, etc., etc. I don't know, half 7, half 8, or whatever you leave for school, half 8, you start school. Um, whether you're at school or whether you're doing home education or whatever. But start by doing it like that, you're starting to recognize certain it's more of an association of times with events, and that will start to kind of like trigger the familiarity, which will then boost the confidence so that you know that when you're looking at the clock and the hands are like this, that's not very good, like this, 7 o'clock, and it's breakfast. For an older child or for a younger child, that may also be bedtime. Um, but it's about having a look at the bigger picture and then breaking it down from there. And then as you've kind of like covered that, and you do start to look closer at specific times, what I would suggest is over in the Clara James approach, we've got a range, or there will be, if this month's bundle, a range of different activities. But one of the things I would suggest you do is perhaps make a clock. You might do it out of a paper plate with one of those things in the middle where it kind of has a pin with split legs and you open them out and then the hands will still spin, so that you can use it as a visual aid as you're playing the different games, or it may be that you already have one that you purchased from somewhere, or you may decide to purchase one from Amazon or the Early Learning Centre or something. And then create games like Pictionary. So it might be that either it has a clock face on the card and you have to then pick the card and draw a picture of what might be happening at that time of day. And the other person, instead of having to try and guess what the picture is, has to try and guess what time of day it is. So it might be that you're sat there eating breakfast. Or it could be that you're walking to school, in which case the school bag might be full, or lunchbox might look full, and then on the way home it might look empty. Or it could be an arrow pointing that way and you're walking towards that way, or something to show that you're on the way to school and not on the way home. Or it could be that you're all sat down for a meal in the evening, that sort of thing, so that again, you're bringing that association between the specific time of the day and the event together, rather than just trying to remember clock faces for for the sake of remembering clock faces. And then another game that we're going to be having is I call it the dotty board game, but it's basically the board with the different spots around the outside. It's over in the Clara James Approach, where it will be. Um, and then if anyone lands on my colour, I'd have to pick up a card and tell you what the time is. If anyone lands on your colour, you'd have to pick up the card and tell you what the time is. If you land on the third colour, there's a forfeit. It might be have another go, tell another time, etc., etc. There'll be things like bingo, where you have to match the corresponding time in words to the corresponding time on the clock face. Or it could be that with the dotty board game, you, instead of having to tell the time if your child hasn't got reached that stage of confidence yet, that they have to replicate that time on the analog clock. Different means of ways of playing it. But it's, as with many, many things, it's one of those things. If it is something that your child struggles with, it's going to take time to kind of like boost their confidence with it. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a case of slowly chipping away at it. And it may be for some kids that they will just never grasp the idea of how they tell the time, a bit like tying shoelaces. Some people just always wear slip-ons or Velcro. Could be the same with telling the time. But it is helpful if you have a vague idea, and that's how I would recommend that you go about supporting your child with learning the time right back from the very beginning. So I hope that's proven helpful. Have a really great week. Take care, and I will see you in the next podcast. Take care. Bye.